Hi everybody, Russ and Miami's 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon to be made every time we put new content on. As always, I'd like to thank our channel sponsors, Untitled. Today's guest, he's been busy the last week or so. He's been quite busy, bless him. His single Declan Rice is available to stream and download and everything. So, obviously we're trying to get that single into the top 40 and stuff like that. It's DPart. How are we doing, DPart? How are you doing, man?
I'm very good, Russ. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm all right. More importantly, how are you? How's it sort of last 2 weeks for you, man? It's been crazy for you.
Very, very surreal. It kind of feels like different blessings are sort of just coming and happening and occurring on a daily basis at the moment. So I'm just trying to really embrace it all. But I think the overall consensus of it is I just feel really blessed. I mean, the song Done Well is doing well. I got to speak to the captain of my team on video call 1-to-1, which was something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. My song was played at the stadium during half time, which I obviously have you to thank for. And I'm imagining as well, I'm probably the first rapper to ever do a Hammers 11, or I'd be surprised if I'm not.
No, you're not.
You're not.
You're the second.
Egg on face. Who's the first?
Peach is a Canadian rapper. Peach he's a lovely bloke. If you go on all like YouTube, all like Hammers chat and things like that, you'll see him always comment, because he comments. It's always in. It's not like normal typing. It's always like capital letters in the middle and dollar signs and stuff. Yeah, Peach. But you're the first UK. You're the first UK rapper.
I think he's actually been messaging me because I recognise the font style.
yeah. He'll be messaging. If it was on Instagram, it'll be his Instagram is. I don't know why we're shouting out Peach, but I love Peach. He's a lovely bloke. I think it's Peach the poet or something like that.
Peach, no. As soon as you said dollar signs, I went, "Yep, I've heard from him."
Yeah, no, he's a top guy. Yeah, he's from Canada, and so that's a collab waiting to happen.
It is indeed.
Peach. You and the Ballyhoo crew, let's make it happen. But yeah, so you're first.
Or maybe I'll do a diss track on him because he took away my accolade of being the first rapper on Hammers 11.
There's some battles you fight and some you don't fight.
I
love Peach. But you're the first UK rapper we've had, so there you go.
We'll take that.
We'll take that.
That's what this week's been all about. We'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take it. As I was saying to you before we started, any opportunity that comes up, anyone talks to you, I'll do it. I'll come on.
Yeah, I love it.
It's all good. Apart from the single, how have you been in general, man, in terms of everything that's going on in this crazy world we live in?
I've been all right. I've probably been better than most because I've always been a remote worker. So I've always worked at home. So I know that's been a bit of a bloody... Sorry, that's the washing machine. Is it loud? Can you hear it?
No, it's fine. It's cool, man. It's cool.
I think the home working side of it and feeling like you can bind to your home space has probably been the biggest culture shock to most people. Yeah. And I'm quite fortunate that I'd already got used to being stir crazy. So I'm just kind of... It's not that much different for me. And also, I live out in the sticks where I don't have a big social circle where I live anyway. So when I wanted to visit mates and stuff, it would usually be meeting them to go to the football and stuff. So it was never really that regular of occurrence. Like fortnightly would be when I socialise. So I'd be lying if I said it's been terrible for me. But my missus has got a lot of family locally, and she hasn't been able to see them, and so it's been quite tough on her. And because it's tough on her, it kind of, that aura kind of ruminates around the house, and you kind of get a bit. So but it's not been as bad as it could have been, I suppose, is the answer.
No, I to be honest, I'm very similar to you, mate. As I said last week, I felt probably the first time I felt proper shit, to be honest. Not even proper shit, but it's like sometimes when you have a really rainy day and a dark cloud comes over and it goes away. That's how I felt a little bit like last week. But it's the same. I've been very fortunate. No one in my immediate family has anything's happened horribly to them. So, You know, as you said, as long as you've got your health, as long as you've got, you know, as long as your family's healthy, there's not really much more you can get at the moment, is it? That's part of the course, really, to be fair.
Exactly.
But West Ham are keeping us entertained, so you know that's all good, man. That's all good.
They are indeed. Thank God.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Like this global pandemic and us, like, you know, languishing in the bottom of the league and stuff.
A relegation battle is not something you'd want to be going through at the same time as this. That's for sure. No. So the fact that safety seems almost, I don't want to say it.
Don't say
it. We'll leave it. But the fact that we're in a good place, people don't realise, or people probably do realise how important and how much of an impact football can actually play on your mental state, especially when you live and breathe it as much as some of us do. And the fact that the team's in a good place makes me feel like I'm in a good place.
Yeah,
you know
no, I get that. I get that totally. And that's the vibe I've been having the last, I'd even say the last sort of 10 days, 2 weeks, it seems. There's a real vibe around Twitter, around YouTube, around everything. People wanting to come on, people wanting to chat. And, you know, as you said, it's, you know, I've interviewed lots of people over the last 8 or 9 months, and you forget how much West Ham means to some people, like genuinely means to some people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just this big at the moment, like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everything. Because obviously the social world is our world at the minute. If you know what I mean. And the whole world at the moment, for me anyway, is just like an overwhelming hub of positivity around the team, and it's everyone's back in the gaffer, which we love to see because it doesn't happen very often. Everyone's got this real faith in the boys now. It wasn't there before, and it's just a far cry from seasons past, and you just love to see it.
Oh, you definitely do, and this will be going out after the Crystal Palace game. So hopefully, you know, we'd have beaten Palace on Tuesday, and we'll be fourth or whatever it is. Mental. It's mental when you think about that. It's absolutely crazy. And obviously, you know, as you said, some people like don't realise how much West Ham's intertwined with their life. Now, for those who don't know, DPart has got a single out called Declan Rice. It's like, so you epitomise that more than anything, to be honest. Why? I'm not going to say why Declan, but why the song? Why, you know, what started the chain of events that got you to write it?
Do you know what it is? My music has always mainly centered around mental health. So my thing is mental health awareness. I want people to, I always want to encourage people that you can talk openly about your life and whatever's on your mind. And it's cathartic because through expressing yourself, it will make you feel better.
Very true.
And I think it's important to talk about my issues and my childhood, which wasn't the best, because I think the worst thing for me about mental health anyway is when you're experiencing anxiety or depression, your mind is trying to convince you that you're the only person like that and that you're the only person that's going through it. So I think to hear other people talking openly about it gives you gratification that you are not actually on your own. And even though it's not going to cure you, I'm not saying you're going to feel depressed or anxious and then listen to someone rapping about being depressed or anxious and then suddenly you're like, bloody hell, I'm all right now. But what you might think is, I'm still down in the dumps, but at least I know other people are too, if you know what I mean. And then it was a case of I've always done music about my life, so it's I haven't really got a filter. I believe that rap nowadays is mainly about glitz and glamour, guns, drugs, and just all that kind of rubbish, if you know what I mean. And I think it's a far cry from what rap used to be, which was controversial and real and gritty. And I just think it's missing what it used to have. So what I wanted to do is, my last album that I released in October was called DPart, and it was a mental health album. It did quite well. We charted at number 39 in the UK download chart with it.
Cool.
But it was quite a morbid album because all of it was about basically being down in the dumps. So someone said to me, you need to find a way to make stuff that's a bit more upbeat and something that people can sing along to a bit more. And I said, well, I'm not smiling, but I'm not really a happy guy, if you know what I mean? So it's a bit hard. And I still want to continue to make music about what's real to me. And then I thought, what is real to me and makes me happy? And then I thought, the football club. So then I thought, okay, what's the best way to do it? Do you do a song about the whole team? Do you do a song about the manager, the players? And I thought, you'd probably be best off to do a song about someone that's gone on record saying they like rap music, because then you never know, they might like it.
Love it.
So I thought, I'll do Declan Rice. He's young. He's into this sort of music. He might like it. And let's face it, at the moment, he is our talisman. He's our captain more often than not. And he's just the boy at the moment, isn't he? So if you're going to make a tune about anyone, you make a tune out of the boy while you still can.
Yeah, it makes sense. What could have been? It could have been, it could have been all about Davey Moyes.
Yeah, that would be funny.
He's one of the boys. There you go. There's one for you. Just write it down.
You know what? All I've had all week is DMs. Got to do one of Antonio next, Noble next, Sufal next, and it's like, as much as I loved making this song, I don't want to become pigeonholed as like a gimmick rapper, if you know what I mean. I mean, I could go through the full squad
easily. Yeah,
people probably would still listen to it, and the community would probably get behind it, because that's the kind of community it is. But I feel like I would lose credibility as an artist, because it would look like I found a gimmick and then I've latched onto it. Yeah. So after this song, I'm definitely going to be reverting back to what I was doing before. I might add the odd lyric in as a bit of an anecdote to the club, just because of how good everyone's been to me during this period. But I definitely don't want to get pigeonholed as the Declan Rice guy or the West Ham rapper, because I'm DPart. You know what I mean? Not that.
No, I get that. No, you're right. I think if you could look for the whole squad, I think you probably picked the right one. Do you know what I mean? I think Deck would have been. I think it'd been lost on Vladimir Sufal.
Yeah, I think he would have heard it and been like.
You'd have to put if it was Suchek, you have to put a reference in about potato salad. I can't
imagine him joining my live stream and telling me he liked it.
No, exactly. That's what I mean. You got
he seems like a really nice guy, but he probably would have. But he probably would have been lying.
Yeah, he wouldn't have a clue what you're doing. Yeah, he wouldn't have a clue. I mean, as you said, obviously Deck's got on board with it. Called it Soccer AM. Obviously got on board with it, which was cool. And that's how it sort of all went a bit crazy, wasn't it? Really,
it was actually Soccer AM first that got on board with it. So I made it as a song that I was sort of just going to put on Spotify and to see what happened, if you know what I mean. I never planned to do a campaign it, so to speak, because I campaigned the album massively in October. So I didn't want to shove music down people's throats. I just wanted to give people a new song to listen to. And then someone commented on my Facebook status, and I'm really annoyed because I can't find who it was, because I still want to thank them. And they said, you should send that tune to Soccer AM. They'll love that. And then I thought, I'll give it a go. And then I woke up on New Year's Day, and I don't know why, but I just went on Fenner's Instagram, and I literally just DM'd him, and I went, hi, mate. No, it's New Year's Day, but I've got a song called Declan Rice that I think would be a good fit for the show. Is there any chance I can show you it? Within 2 seconds, yes, mate, send it over. Sounds great. I was, bloody hell, he doesn't even follow me. How did he even see my DM, if you know what I mean? So
once you get to 10K in it on Insta, that's it. You can DM anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's obviously blue ticked off. He's got hundreds of thousands of followers. So that's got me thinking. Because I'm a big believer in the law of attraction and fate and what's meant to be is meant to be. And all I could think to myself after that was, the only way he's seen that is if he had his phone in his hand on Instagram at that exact moment.
Yeah.
So he was meant to see it. So then he went away with it. I didn't get a reply from him. Messaged him a week later. He said, yeah, mate, sorry, meant to get back to you. Loved it. Emailed it over to our producer, Devlin. Sent it over to Devlin. Devlin responded, I love it. Just to let you know, it's going to be on tomorrow. And I was like, can't believe it. Honestly, gobsmacked. Gobsmacked. A show I watch genuinely watch every week without fail. A show that my auntie, who's an even bigger West Ham fan than me, absolutely adores. But, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got the phone on a perch because it's on charge. Right. So naturally what I did is I didn't tell my auntie it was going to be on there.
Brilliant.
And I just left it to the Soccer AM gods to make sure that she was watching it on that show, which I knew I was 90% sure she would be, but I was still a bit like, oh, it's a bit risky. Get a phone call, literally quivering, just in shock that what's happened, and it was absolutely amazing. And I cannot thank John enough, because most of the music that he probably gets funneled is probably from labels and managers and companies like that. And for a little guy like me with his 7,000 followers on Instagram to just say, "Hi mate, I've got a song, can you listen to it and play it on the telly?" And for him to go, "You know what? Yeah, you got to be some type of bloke."
Yeah, top man. No, exactly. And as you said, things like that happen, isn't it? And I'm a true believer in fate as well. And I think there, as you said, it just seemed all the stars seemed to align at the right time. And then obviously Soccer AM, that went on. And then obviously you released it. And obviously, as you said, I'm not being funny. You then had Deck jumped on you on your live Instagrams, and that must have been like such a bizarre thing when it pops up. Declan Rice, what? Okay.
Gobsmacked. Like, people were writing in the comments, like, people were commenting, "You need to understand, this isn't just about a song. This is a man talking to the captain of his Premier League football team." And then when I read that comment, that's when it kind of went, bloody hell, it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This isn't promo. This is actually, like, I've got a picture of the bloke hanging on, a signed picture of him hanging on my wall in my hallway. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and now he's talking to me directly, one-on-one. It's just, you can't describe it. You can't describe it. The euphoria I felt after that was done and it was over, and I put my phone down and laid back on the couch like, bloody hell, that's happened.
Yeah.
Can only be equaled by the euphoria I felt when I got sent the video of it playing at the ground.
Yeah.
Because that was absolutely, fans or not, it's mind blowing.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, to be honest, I feel very, very similar when I speak to some ex-players we've had on the channel. Like as I said to you when we were chatting on Friday, like Julian Dix. When I interviewed Julian Dix, I felt that way afterwards. I was like, oh my god, he's like. He was like my idol when I was young, and it's like now they spent some time with him and we had a really good chat and it was lovely, and you thought, fucking hell, Jesus. And it's like, it's the same with you. You sat back on your couch afterwards and you've just spoken to like Declan Rice, like,
Yeah, he bloody follows me. I can message him. You know what I mean? Hello, mate. But that's also something that I'm going to be very careful not to overdo, because if he unfollowed me, I'd be bloody. It would absolutely crush my soul.
Play it cool, son. Play it cool, as a boy would say, innit? And that's absolutely the thing. They're all just lovely blokes, and I think Dex got like. And we'll probably talk about it when we talk about your Hammers 11 anyway. So I won't talk about that. We'll talk about it later anyway, because I don't want to preempt it. But anyway, so let's dial back a little bit. Let's ask. Obviously, you said your nan's a big West Ham fan, but why are you a West Ham fan? What's your story, man?
There's not really a long. I inherited it. It's as simple as that. I inherited it. I was very young when my granddad died, but I've got an image of him in my head, always sitting on the chair that he used to sit on.
Yeah.
And that image that I've got of him in that chair is always an image laden in the old Dr. Martens top. You know what I mean? He had the white Dr. Martens top. So I inherited that. I inherited it from my granddad. My granddad was a mad hammer. My nan, who died a few years later, she was a mad hammer. They gave birth to a daughter who's my auntie, who is a mad hammer. They also gave birth to my mum, who she passed away sadly, but she was a massive West Ham fan as well. And it was just a case of I didn't have a bloody choice. If I didn't, I would have been cast out. And I quite liked having a roof and food.
Yeah, exactly. I like having a roof over me. Exactly. Yeah. And it's funny though. It's funny. I mean, there is a, when you interview people, some people it is about family, some people it is literally they just they switched on the TV and it was West Ham playing, I support them. But whatever it is, they all come back to that. They all join this weird bunch of fans, and obviously you would have probably experienced it over the last few weeks. Just the support and the community that is West Ham. It's like everyone claps together, isn't it? It's a unique thing, I think, being a West Ham fan.
Very unique. There's a certain level of camaraderie that other clubs can say they have, but I don't think they really do.
No, not
all of them anyway.
No, not any of them. Not even DPart.
Definitely not Spurs.
Definitely not Spurs. Well, that's what I said.
No.
I mean, it's like as I said, if you're walking down, and I live in Hornchurch, and there's a lot of West Ham fans. It's Heartland, so to speak, one of the Heartlands, and if you see another West Ham fan, we still see quite a few of them walking around. You're shouting, "Come on, your irons or irons," and you.
Yeah.
I've never seen two Spurs fans do that to each other.
No,
I wouldn't say I would say, "Come on, Spurs." They just don't do that.
Yeah, it happens every time I get the train down. I get the Stratford International from King's Cross.
Yeah.
And every time I get off the train, someone at the front of the stadium will shout, "Oh!" and then it will just literally chain reaction all the way to the back of the train. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like you said. It's like you say. I just don't. They can say they do, but I just don't believe it happens anywhere else. And if it does, not on this sort of level, where it's literally like, if you are West Ham and I am West Ham, you are my sibling for the day.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? I've gone to so many games on my own and ended up as part of multiple friendship groups over the day and not felt out of place for 1 minute, because because we've got two little kids. We've got a 4-year-old and 2-year-old. My missus can't come to most of the games with me.
Yeah.
And I did actually bring my little boy I brought him to Norwich and I brought him to City, and then I brought him to Sheffield United, and because he couldn't get any signal on his phone, he started going crazy. I was using the phone to distract him so I could watch the
and he's 4, you say?
Yeah, the phone died, and he started screaming the gaff down, and I had to leave at half time.
Oh,
and I've never taken him again, and I never will. I now know he was too young. Yeah. But at the time, it seemed like a great idea. And it was for 2 matches. For the first 2, he loved it. He sat there good as gold. He tried his best to sing Bubbles with me. But that one game when he made me leave at half time in the rain.
That's it. You're right.
That's it. You're done, mate. At least 14.
It's mental when you think about it, isn't it? It's mental when you think about, like, again, not talking about West Ham, but he said, he was 4 and he went mental because he ran out of battery. And it's like, when you was 4, it's like, I wouldn't know how to use a mobile phone or whatever.
Yeah.
My daughter was 8 and she basically, me and her run basically our internet operation in our house, to be honest. She knows all the buttons, and it's mental, isn't it? It's just scary.
Yeah, really we do try our best to, because they're only little, obviously, we do try our best to keep them from being so reliant on technology. But when you're trying to watch a football match in peace, you kind of like take it and shut it. You know what I mean?
I think everyone's the same. It's like the other day, I think it was a Sunday, and my wife went, "Oh, do you think Flo's been on the iPad too much?" And I said, "Oh, poor cow, what can she do? If she's not going to go on the iPad, she can sit down and watch TV. She can't talk to her friends. It's pissing down outside. She can't go outside and run around with a dog. What can she do in the world we're in at the moment?
And the amount they learn on some of the amount they learn on some of these apps, they learn more than I've taught them.
Yeah, definitely. Particularly homeschooling stuff. I couldn't have lived without Google Classroom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And also, one of those things, like with kids as well. It's like, I think it's just the world they live in now. It is all about. So the whole Declan Rice campaign has been all on social media because
never would have happened without it. What would I have done?
Yeah, you would have done.
Shout out the window.
Yeah, shout out the window, or maybe print out a few flyers. Yeah. Declan Rice, what?
Here's a tape.
Yeah, exactly. Throwing CDs out the window, like their frisbees and stuff like that. So yeah, you although you agree one hand, you take one hand giveth, the other taketh away, isn't it? So it's one of those things. As you said with West Ham, I could just see that. That's it. You're not going back to your 40. Until you know how to charge. I don't think kids understand about the whole thing around charging batteries. That's the thing. My daughter, she'll literally have like my iPad, her iPad, my wife's iPad. By the end of Sunday, they're all dead because you don't anyone on charge. It's like, well,
I think the worst thing about it on this day was it was bucketing down with rain. So it was half time. If I remember rightly, we were losing.
Yeah.
And I've had to walk out at half time and go back to the train station in the pouring rain all the way back to Stratford International. He's crying. I can't walk. My legs are hurting. So I've got him on my shoulders. At the same time, I've tried to got an umbrella over both of us. If you saw it, mate, you would have been like, what the hell is going on? I walked past a few people. They were like, what is happening? It was the closest thing to me just dragging him as it could have been.
But at least you didn't have to get involved with the stop and start signs. So
no, exactly that. Yeah,
it's like, there's a silver cloud everywhere. But no, it's all good. No, it's fun. And then, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't look like anyone's going to go to it any games this season now. Very surprised. But in the day, if we're winning, I think a lot of people don't care. To be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm all right with it.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot warmer watching the games inside. Obviously, you don't get that camaraderie. I think that's the one thing people can't get is that camaraderie. They try and do it on Zoom and stuff like that, but it's not the same. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But no, it's great.
It's the escapism that I miss. It's just that whole. All right, today I'm not daddy. I'm not DPart. I'm not husband. I'm not employee.
Yeah.
I'm West Ham today, and I'm just going to go down there, win or lose. We're going to back them. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a few beers. Probably end up in the Heineken bar by the 84th minute and stay there until we get kicked out, and go home half cut, and then wake up the next day and not wait to do it again the following weekend or weekend after. Do you know what I mean? So it's the escapism that I miss, but because we're winning, it's much easier to cope with.
It's like this whole lockdown thing. When in the summer, when it was 33 degrees or 35 degrees, piece of piss lockdown was. Piece of piss. Now it's dark, it's grey, it's cold. Now it's horrible, isn't it? And it's the same. West Ham are winning, great. You know, everyone's happy and because if they weren't winning, if they were, a West Brom or whatever, you'll be like, oh God, so depressing. They can't do that. I feel sorry for West Brom fans, I really do, because in essence, they could quite easily have a whole Premier League season without no fans there and be back when they go back to the Hawthorns, they'll be back in the Championship.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And it's like, oh, that's a real shame because
better than us though.
At the end of the day, yeah, it's literally paying lip service than actually generally worried about West Brom fans. But I think it's for me. I think, as you said, I think it is escape. It's the same as me. It's obviously at the moment I'm still there, so it's like literally on a Saturday, I know I can get out of the house.
Yeah.
That's basically at the moment, isn't it? It's like I'm out of the house for a day and I come back and I have to put all the pieces back together that's been like the wife's having it shouting at the flow and and I'm like, oh God.
No, man.
Anyway, let's talk about some good stuff. Let's talk about your Hammers 11 then, DPart. So obviously we have everyone we get on the channel, we ask them to give their Hammers 11. So the idea is it doesn't have to be the best, it doesn't have to be the favourite, whoever you want really. But the only rule is you have to be alive to have seen them play. That's the only rule, man.
Absolutely. So I've got a bit of a confession to make.
Yep.
In school, I was one of them kids that didn't really like football massively. I was one of them ones like, do you watch the football? Like, I'd always say if they said who do you support, I'd say West Ham.
Yeah.
But if they said do you play, do you watch, I used to be like, no, I'm not really into football. And then I think when I was in about year 5, my auntie took me to a friendly at Upton Park, which was a pre-season friendly. I want to say it was against Olympiacos. And even though it was a pre-season friendly, I was instantly just, this is it for me. Like, how have I missed so many years of this camaraderie and this togetherness and just this buzz, if you know what I mean? So I'm only going to go with, like, it would be easy to name like the Stuart Pearces and the Rio Ferdinands and the Di Canio's, but because I didn't actively watch football while they played, I'd feel like I was lying. So I think my 11 is going to be a mixture of players today and just people that have nostalgic value to me. So if people don't rate these players the same way I do through my nostalgia tinted goggles, don't shoot me in the comments is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, don't be sick. Everyone's got a different opinion, and that's the idea. And it doesn't matter who you pick. The fact is you've picked them. So they would have some sort of positive or negative. I've read the worst 11s and stuff. So it doesn't really matter, really. Everyone has their own. And if anyone disagrees, then they can come on and do their own 11 and we can shout at them. Right. Okay. So let's start with Between the Sticks. Who's in goal for the DPart 11?
Super Fab.
It's
got to be.
He is a phenomenal goalkeeper. I think.
He's phenomenal. I think like I'm not sure about this season or last season because he was obviously regrettably injured for most of it. But I'm pretty sure the 2 seasons prior to that, he made the most saves in the league by a country mile. And I don't know how well that speaks of us for allowing that to happen, but the fact that you were there to make them, and like, I know it's probably a bit unorthodox, but even going back to, he's just always been a good pair of hands. And I just think if I'm fielding a West Ham team out of players that I've seen play, it'd be a toss up between him and Robert Green, and I think it would just have to land on Fab. I honestly do.
No, I agree. I think Fabianski, although Robert Green was a great keeper, I think Fabianski is technically a better keeper, in my opinion. But everyone's horses for courses, right? Okay, we'll put Fab in goal. Yeah, can't think of anything that rhymes with Fabianski. Anyway, so it wouldn't work. I'm just going to you couldn't write a rapper, man. Right, okay. So let's go into defence. So who's your first defender, man? Who's your first defender?
Left back, purely because the goal in the FA Cup final meant so much to me. I'm gonna go with Paul Konchesky, and that is a nostalgia tinted pick, because I want to say Cresswell, because I think he's ridiculously underrated, and I always have.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. I want there to be a good mixture between old and new, if you know what I mean. And I don't just want to name the modern day squad. So I'm gonna pick Paul Konchesky just for that goal, and the fact that he was a solid pair of hands. I know he didn't have the best time at Leicester and Liverpool after, if you know what I mean, or before. But I just think I would just pick Paul Konchesky, I think.
Yeah, and he's a hammer. So,
yeah.
I think, and he's a top bloke.
Absolutely lovely bloke. He shared I'm pretty sure he shared the tune a couple of times and stuff, but I didn't do it for that, I swear.
No, no, but he would have, definitely. That's the type of thing Conch does. He's a top guy, and it's always something special when a West Ham fan plays for his boyhood club, and he did, and he was a good servant for us. I think Conch was. I think he falls. You're right. I think he falls between those cracks really of Julian Dix and Aaron Cresswell. He's sort of in that middle bit. That middle period where we had like a lot of left backs. As you said, we did have the Stuart Pearces and stuff, and Nigel Winterburns and Conch. I think he gets a little bit, in terms of his impact, as you said, that sort of, scoring an FA Cup goal. Not many West Ham players have scored an FA Cup final goal. So
no, they haven't, and it was a blinder at that.
Yeah, although when I interviewed him, I said, "Come on, Conch, between you and me, did you mean it?" And he went, and he went, "You know what? If I scored it today, yes. If I back in the day, no." So I was like, "Okay, fair enough." Right, so we put Conch in. Let's go right back then. Who's going to right back, man?
Do you know what? I know it's fresh, and I know it's early days, but I would have to go with Soufal. I would. He just seems like such a lovely bloke, which goes a long way with me, first of all. But he hasn't put a foot wrong since he's played, and he just looks like, to me, he just looks like the right back that we've always craved, which is reliable, that mixture of reliable and skill. He just fits in, if you know what I mean. And I just think he's brilliant. And if I was to field a team of past and present, I'd field him in it. Simple as that.
What I love about Soufal is, and I've said it before, I love the way he takes a picture of him and Thomas Souček at every game, every away game. Someone said to me, it's like he's won a competition, and that's what it looks like a little bit. It's like,
because it's just amazing for him. Do you know what I mean? They're like, bloody hell, we're mates. We were there. Yeah. We're both here now. It must be every day and every time they're out and playing for a Premier League team in a Premier League ground. It must just be that euphoria and just that level of surrealness that they just want to capture that moment every single time. And it's lovely to see, honestly. And me and my missus say it all the time, but every single time either of them are being interviewed, we just can't stop smiling.
Yeah, and they always reference the other one as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The other one, like this, but Souček was Soufal. So, like, they always talk about, like, the other day, Soufal was saying, oh yeah, well, as you know, me and Thomas would be at home eating potato salad and stuff like that. And it's like fair enough because he's watched it and he's seen everyone taking the mickey a little bit, and he gets involved. And I love players who do that. He doesn't seem to take himself too seriously as well, which again, and obviously he just said, when like what's his name had a new kid and the goal came in and they were doing the sort of the Brazilian sort of baby stuff. I love that.
Lovely.
It is, and you're right. He's a great right back, and yeah, we have craved someone like that consistently, like that for a long time. Since the likes of like Tim Breaker, sort of the early 1990s, really. So yeah, hopefully he's the right age. We have, he's 28, I think, 27, 28, something like that. He's got a good few years with us at least if he stays in and stuff. So
and I think he'll be here for a while.
Oh yeah, I think so as well. There's something about moving to a new country as well, and the fact is, I think it's a very shrewd bit of business for West Ham as well, because Souček moving to a new country, now his mates in the same team as him,
loving it.
It's less likely to fuck off back to go to Bayern Munich or whatever, because his mates here, isn't it? So
and they will be if there's anyone they're going to be wanting, it's going to be him.
Yeah,
his value is going to skyrocket, I think.
Yeah. And again, it shows a difference in attitude towards transfers. You look at it's like all of the buyers that Moyes has brought in now. At the time of recording, I think the Benrahma full-time deal is going through today.
Yeah.
So okay, so say that. So let's talk about Benrahma in the conversation. So say like Souček, Bowen, and Soufal, all three of them you could sell for double your money today.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Soufal 3-4. I think he paid like 3 or 4 million, 5 million, something like that, ridiculously. 15 million at least he'd be worth now, isn't it?
Easy.
So that's great news for us. Right, okay, let's put Soufal in. Let's go for your first centre half. Who's going to be your first centre half then?
I was toying with Dawson, but I can't do it purely because he's only played 3 matches. So I'm going to go with Winston Reid.
I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with Winston Reid now. He's back and stuff. I don't think anything will happen with him at the club, but he's been a great servant, hasn't he, for West Ham?
Really good servant, and just really in his heyday, just really solid. If you know what I mean, really solid. You just the main trait that you want out of a centre back is you wouldn't fancy running into him, and I wouldn't fancy running into Winston Reid. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's a good point. And as you said, for me, I just think he's one of those things where because he got injured so long for us. I don't think the fact that he's been at the club for 10 years is as much as a big deal as some other players, because he was injured for a big period of it. So I mean that's great that he was, but if he was fully fit, the chances are he probably wouldn't be at West Ham. Because even as you said, in that sort of when we signed him, he went down, and then he started to really develop as a player. Liverpool was sniffing, Arsenal was sniffing around for him. If he wasn't injured, he would probably be at one of those clubs.
I think so. He's got that profile, isn't he?
Yeah. Exactly. He's not going to be any trouble. He's got quite a calm temperament, I think, by the looks of him. Like off the pitch and stuff as well. So he's a good guy to be around. But no, he's been he scored some iconic goals for us. So he'll always be in the West Ham folklore history because of the goals he's scored for us as a centre back. You know what I mean? Last goal, for example. So no, he's a top man, Winnie. Okay, so when he's in, who's he going to partner in that central back position?
Who is going to partner him is the person that no other team will admit, but I truly believe is one of the best centre halves in the league, and that is Ogbonna for me. I think he is ridiculously underrated.
Yeah,
I think you put him in at the moment, the form he's in. You could put any type of ball you want into a box, and his head is hitting it, and it's going the right way. And more often than not this season, you put a corner into the box, and he's getting into the goal. He's just such a big presence. He's no matter who's fit and who's the guy at the minute, whether you put Balbuena next to him, Diop next to him, whether you put Dawson next to him, who not many people thought much of when we signed him, you know what I mean? He's made him look, and this is nothing to take away from his performance, but being next to a guy and a presence like Ogbonna is never going to do you any trouble in making you look good, if you know what I mean. And I truly think you put him at City, you put him at Chelsea, you put him at Liverpool, and he plays the way that he plays for us. You're talking about one of the best centre backs in the league, next to the types of like Laporte and Van Dijk, as far as I'm concerned. But they won't admit that. But it's up to them.
It's a great shout. It's a great shout. You're right. Again, it's that whole thing of West Ham as well. In that people, West Ham, it's always they have to go above and beyond to get any recognition at the club, outside of the club. And Agbonna's the same. You're right. I mean, not being funny, he's made to break back into the Italian squad at the age of 29, 30 over he is now. That's mental. Considering he's always got that accolade, it's the same as, a lot of clubs like the French league, obviously with Payet, he never got in for a while, then he got in. That there was also a reluctance to pick foreign-based players, their own league. And so, I mean, he's brilliant. And as you said, where it used to be, for me, it used to be the three of them. It used to be Bonner, Diop and Balbuena, and they used to interchange based on who was in form. Two would always be being informed. One would always be either injured or not informed. Now it's not. Now it is Ogbonna plus one of three.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the only one that's not interchangeable by any means. You know what I mean? And he's also the one as well that when he, and this is no disrespect to the others, but when he's out, you feel he's out.
Yeah.
When he's not there, you feel it. You really feel it. It's a void that can't be filled. So if anyone, I don't think you could field any type of dream West Ham team without someone as solid as him at the back.
No.
You'd certainly regret it on your set pieces, that's for sure.
Yeah, totally. And someone mentioned it the other day. Actually, they actually said, I think it was Luke actually said that he thought that Ogbonna will go down as one of the best centre backs we've had in the last 15 years.
Absolutely.
Definitely. That's a big shout, but actually thinking about it, it's a great shout.
Yeah, no, it's a really good shout. Honestly, he's just fantastic. I could not say enough about the bloke. No. If put it this way, I feel really good about the game tonight. If for any sort of reason the team sheet came out and he wasn't on it, I'd be really worried. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Right, okay, we'll put Oggy in. Right, let's go into midfield. Who's going to be your first midfielder? Then Deep, you can do whatever in whatever order you want to do, man.
Left mid, I struggled with left mid a bit. I don't know why I struggled with left mid, but I wanted to say Joe Cole. I did want to say Joe Cole, and I did plan to say Joe Cole, but now I'm here. I want to put Lanzini on the left.
Lanzini on the left.
Yeah, now I'm here because that goal against Tottenham, I've never reacted to a goal like that in my life, and I just can't get it out of my head. And not only that, I know obviously since his injury, he's never quite got back to the form he was at, but he was pucker for a while, like really pucker. And you can still see the flair in him. And I think Moyes knows that that Lanzini is still there, if you know what I mean. And you see sparks of it. And I just think he was a really fantastic player for us, and he's still a really good player for us that I think will get back to the point of being fantastic one day. And if anything, it shows you that it's that strike that day. He just absolutely belted it. And honestly, watching it on the TV, that game, I think, like, I entered a West Ham group on Facebook the other day, and they said, "What's your favourite West Ham match at all time?" And I said, "I think it has to be the 3-3 at Tottenham." And I think that is my favourite match that I've ever watched. Sat there and watched 90 minutes of. I really do.
And I remember that game. I remember that game so well because it was like, obviously so well. It was only last season, but it seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? It's mental. And I remember at half time I was watching my phone and I was like, and I think my mother-in-law went upstairs, and so I moved. I said to my wife, "I'm going to go and watch this on the big screen. I'll go watch in the front room, see how many we'll lose by. We're already 3-0 down." Then, famous last words. But yeah, and you're right. I think actually the arrival of Saeed has given him. You can see, like at the game on Saturday, the Doncaster game. I know it was Doncaster. I appreciate the but there was so much more zip around Lanzini and him as a two. They were playing together. You could see they're on similar wavelengths. Now, I'm not comparing Barama to Payet, but when Payet I wish one day I will do, but when Payet joined and Lanzini were in the same team, that was arguably Lanzini's best football for us.
It was.
The fact he had someone who was arguably more skillful, they played really well together, and I can see some parallels there. He seems a bit.
There are parallels. Because he like you said, he played with Payet, got injured, comes back, the flair's gone. We haven't really. We've had some solid midfielders since, but we haven't really replaced that real flair factor up until now. And it's just a case of you are as good or you are at the best of your ability when you've got the right sort of people around you to complement you. And I agree. I think we're going to see a real resurgence, and it's going to be a constant. I think when it comes to Benrahma, Fornals, and Lanzini, and possibly Lingard now, if it happens, it's going to be a constant tussle between them four for starting places, and it's never going to be set in stone. Them four, never. I don't think so. Anyway,
I like that though, don't you?
I love it. Great depth.
In the same way, I like having a settled side, but I like having a side that's going to fight for each other. It's going to fight to get into the team. And I think also, as you said, with the whole thing with Lanzini, I mean, obviously he got injured. When he came back, as you said, the Payet's not there. Everyone's basically, all the eyes are on him to be the spark. And I think he plays better. And again, no disrespect to Lanzini, as a second fiddle. He's the second most skillful person on the team because they rather on the team. But he is exactly. Right, let's put Manu in. Okay, who's going to be next, man? Who's going to be next?
I wanted. It's different when you're here on the day, isn't it?
It is, because you start thinking and
because I kind of wrote them down, and I've already gone off the cuff a little bit on a couple of them, because I was originally going to say Soucek, but I don't think I can leave Mark Noble out. I think it would be completely unfair. So for infancy in the squad alone, I'm gonna get, which is a bit unfair considering who I put a right back, but I'm going to go with Mark Noble.
Yeah. That makes sense. I understand that. That makes sense. And as you said, it's like I think Soucek. It was funny. I was doing a live stream the other day, and we was having, and I think Jack came on. Jackmate came on. We were having a chat, and he was saying that he asked about he gave me three players. He gave me Czech Kouyaté. He gave me James Tompkins and Diafra Sakho. And he said, who would you take out, bring back out of those three? And I said Czech Kouyaté, because I think Czech Kouyaté is like he was like a good replacement for Soucek if he got injured. And he said Soucek is a brilliant version of Czech Kouyaté, and I totally agree with him. Do you know what I mean?
I think he's class. He's absolutely class. You just can't say enough. I could sit here talking to you about him all day. Like, honestly, he's got to be one of my favourite players of all time that we've had, and that says a lot about him considering how long he's been here for. You know what I mean? He's so reliable, and it's just that. It's just his little face when he scores, and you just know that he's living every moment of what he's doing, and he's just loving it. And it's just that there's something really relatable about that. It almost feels like he probably feels about playing for the club how I felt talking to Declan Rice, if you know what I mean.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And also, for me, it's like, and the emergence of him has less, because obviously, 18. I mean, he's been there a year now. So say 18 months ago, we were all.
Doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't. It's mental, isn't it, when you think about it? But it was obviously last year, wasn't it? So last January. So 18 months ago, we were shitting ourselves that Mark Noble was going to be retiring soon, and we didn't have anyone to fill that void. Yeah, and that's why I'm trying to bring it back to Mark Noble, because that's who you picked. Whereas then Soucek's come in, and Mark's almost taken a back step. He's taken a backroom staff role now. He plays the cup games and he comes on for 20 minutes and does it, but his impact on the team is still there. It's still relevant. He comes on, Deck gives him his the armband. That's how much respect he has with him as a captain. Mark Noble has earned that over 15 years of the club. I mean, as you said, for yourself, you're relative, you weren't really into football when you was young. So when you started getting into West Ham, Mark Noble has been in West Ham probably ever since you've been a West Ham a proper fan. No disrespect, but like a proper fan. And having him not in the team, not in the setup is going to be.
It just doesn't sit right. It just doesn't sit right. Mark Noble.
Yeah, what a man.
What a bloke.
What a man. What I like about Mark Noble is he is always and again, in the same way we're talking about Konchesky, being a West Ham fan, playing for your club, being the only club you've played for, being club captain of your club, he just ticks all the boxes for like Royal the Rovers stuff, and I think that's why we just love the fact of him. He's a man. I think I love him, honestly. I've been fortunate enough to. It was last year, that Chelsea game when we beat them 3-2 and Yarma scored right at the end. He wasn't in the squad and he was sitting in the disabled row. Because obviously they're all socially distanced because obviously you've got the wheelchairs usually in the middle, so they're already 2 meters apart. And he watched that game despite the fact there's no fans in the stadium. I was there and he was there, and literally he was watching it like a fan. And he's a West Ham fan, but actually watching kick every ball and just shout at the referee, you're like, he's a proper fan. He's a proper.
Yeah. That's our boy.
I was so proud. I was so proud of watching him kicking every ball. But it's something special. It doesn't happen in every other club.
Really, absolutely. I could not agree with you more.
No, he's a top man. And I think my assumption is he'll be given at least another year on his contract to see out next year, which seems totally right. And then at the end of the next season, hopefully there'll be fans back in the stadium, because you couldn't let him go now. No. I know it's horrible to think of that, but I think this new role. He seems, as I said, I call him the Doctor because he's like Doctor Who. He just regenerates himself every couple of seasons, and now he's regenerated himself into this 20-minute man or 15-minute man. And he'll come on as a man just to tie up at the end. And actually, you don't need to be. I mean, he can easily play 90 minutes. We've seen that in the cup games and stuff like that. But for him, I think he could come on 15 minutes in a Premier League game, wouldn't look out of place, just to tie it up and so he could probably do that for at least another season, maybe 2 seasons. In terms but yeah, he's a top man. Right, let's move on. Go on. So we got Lanzini, we've got Noble. Who else are we going to put in central midfield? I wonder. Is it going to be Pete Butler? No, I don't think it is.
No, we're going to go with Declan Rice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
I think so. He's all right. Do you know what I mean?
He's all right. Yeah, he's all right. I mean, I did just in case have Valon Barami and Thomas Hitzelsberger on stand in case. We'll put Declan Rice in.
Yeah, well, he can have it. He's a good one. He's a good egg.
He's all right, isn't he? He's all right. Yeah. He's not bad. He's okay, I suppose. No, he's. I still think with him, we've just scratched the surface with him as a player. 100%.
As a midfielder, certainly. Yeah.
I think he is a phenomenal. And I was talking about someone else the other day, and in terms of how his game has developed since in the last year, I'd say, even since Souček's come in, there's a lot more dynamism, a lot more running, a lot more, going forwards. I mean, I looked at some of his first games when Pellegrini brought him in. Is this in his CDM role? And we're like, what? He's a centre back. What? It's like, oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. And then he was a CDM, and now he's become into a CM role. Definitely, I'd say.
Yeah, drifting. He drifts in and out, doesn't he? But he's. A lot of people seem to think that he belongs as a defender but
No.
not a lot of West Ham fans think that, mind you. But a lot of the outsiders will be like, "Oh, why are you playing him there? He's a centre back. He can't pass a ball." And it's kind of like, what are you actually watching? If you know what I mean, what are you actually watching? Because some of the long balls I see him ping from all the way at the back and just land perfectly at the feet of a winger or even of Sufal, and you just kind of like, if Trent Alexander-Arnold puts in passes like that, and then you call him the second coming of David Beckham, and he's a right back, and it's like we play him at centre back, and we play him at centre mid, and he puts in passes like that. And you say he should be a defender. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I just think like you said, I just think he's a stand-up bloke. He's very good defensively. You can see that attack-mindedness creeping into his play more and more every single time he plays. He's not scared to pop a goal anymore, which I think he was a bit hesitant to do for his first season or two. And I just think he's truly going into a future England captain for me. And literally, just I could not put him in it. It wouldn't have made any sense anyway. Considering he's the person that got me here, technically. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think what I like, and I love the fact that Deck's got this. He's actually in training. He's practicing this sort of knuckleball, this sort of like free kick.
Yeah.
And he's trying to get that, and I love the fact he's trying to get that into his game. I love the fact he's trying to come forward a lot more. You see this evolution of Declan Rice. That's why I think there's so much more in there. You're right. I mean, I remember seeing him in the under 23s when we used to do them at the stadium, and he was this commanding centre back. He was a good centre back. He was good. I wouldn't say, to be honest, for me, he was a great centre back. He was good. I wouldn't say he was world class. I'd say he was strong. He had this leadership ability, which at a young age is non-existent. Having that sort of John Terry-esque leadership.
Yeah.
Then I didn't have any. I knew he'd get into the first team, but I never had any apprehension that he was going to be this player that he's become in the last 2 years, 18 minutes.
Like the actual talisman of the club.
Yeah. It's mental when you think about the impact he's made. How many games he's played.
So quick as well. It happened so quickly as well.
Yeah, he did.
But it's incredible.
And you've exemplified it exactly what you're talking about. The events have the point I was going to say is that he is so down to earth.
Yeah.
And he can jump on an Instagram live and chat with you, or when he does get interviewed at the end of the game, if he's won, he's happy. If he's not, he's really pissed off with himself.
But the thing the pundits always say, as soon as they interview him, the thing the pundits always say, as soon as he goes off, is he's got a good head on his shoulders, or he's a good bloke. He is, or just always something complimentary. Do you know what I mean? Never silence and just move on to the next thing. That they've always got to say something about how much of a stand-up bloke he seems, or how well-spoken he was, or that was put well by. Do you know what I mean? It's never just on to the next item because we've got nothing to say about it. You can't leave a section involving him without commenting on him as a person. And if you're only on this planet once, I can't think of much better of an accolade to have than you were a genuinely nice guy that just spread positivity everywhere you go. Because really, it's all we can do if we want to do the best we can while we're here, and that's make as many people that come across us or that we come across happy, and hope that we're remembered for doing so. And he will definitely be. And he's only 22 years of age the other day, so incredible.
It's mental, and you're right. And he always comes, and he just comes across as so genuine. He's like on Twitter. He did a thing. They did a thing on the England Twitter thing, and it was Chilwell and saying he'd never had a Chinese in his life or something like that. And the camera stopped, and Deck turned around beautifully and just went,
yeah.
I mean, he's so funny. He's so funny. I love him. I absolutely love the man. Right, okay, so we got Lanzini, Noble, Rice. Who's going to be your next person?
Yossi Benayoun.
Oh, good old Yossi. What a player Benayoun was.
All I remember is Blinders.
Yeah.
I just remember him just scoring the craziest goals, which I'll keep going back to my nostalgia tinted glasses, but I just remember him scoring chips that didn't look possible unless you were playing FIFA, where He didn't even stop and chip the ball. He'd be like mid-run, and somehow he'd get it up in the air and over the keeper's head with the same power as if he laced it. And I just remember watching Match of the Day and being literally about 14 or 15 years of age and just not understanding why no one else scored goals like that and why it was only him. And I just think he was really good, really nippy and light on his feet, the way he could be on the wing 1 minute, cut inside, be in the box and just causing drama. I just think he was really, really good. I know he wasn't amazing when he moved on, but he was, for us, he was absolutely, I think he was world class. I think he was absolutely world class. And they never would have bought him if he weren't.
No, exactly. I mean, and I mean, you know, at the end of the day, he was the first, I believe, someone will correct me, I think it's the first ever player to score a hat-trick in the Premier League, the FA Cup, Champions League, and the League Cup, I want to say.
I did not know that.
Not all for West Ham, clearly. No, he was brilliant. And we've had people on like Conch and stuff, and they've spoken about Yossi. And, you know, though he was like bag of bones, really. He liked a bit of a challenge. He liked to get in there a little bit in training and leave a boot in, and I like that. I like that about him. You know, like it's just other side of him. And you're right. He's very similar. I liken him to Trevor Sinclair in that he never seemed to score a simple goal.
Yeah, no, never. And you never saw it happen. They were always really unorthodox looking chips. That's the thing I remember him for, was the lobs. And it was just the way that 1 minute he'd be dribbling, and then the next minute it's just, and it's just like I just could never quite. I remember being honestly watching it on Match of the Day when I was little, and just thinking, I don't understand it from a gravity aspect, let alone a footballing aspect. Do you know what I mean? It's just, I just remember him for absolute blinders and just that light-footedness when he's got 3 man around him in the box and somehow getting out of it. And yeah, I just really enjoyed watching him play. So he would be in my team.
It's just something when you have to get Brian Cox in, Professor Brian Cox, to explain the trajectory of the ball. Yeah. But yeah, no, he's a top man. Yeah, he's a good guy, Yossi. Right, okay, so we've got Yossi in, and I used to sit next to a bloke called Yossi, so that's why I know how to pronounce it. Right, okay, so we going up front now DPart.
Carlos Tevez.
Carlitos. So, you know, and again, look, you spoke about, you know, Souček, and, you know, Carlos, the impact he made for a very short amount of time, was incredible. Tell us about your thoughts on Carlos then.
For me, looking back on my childhood and the years that I got into football, the biggest and most memorable season for me was obviously the Kirbishley days where the Great Escape obviously occurred. That was the biggest, that sticks out in my mind the most, because I'll never forget it, because the game wasn't I can't remember, either the game wasn't televised or I just didn't have Sky Sports at the time because I was too poor. But I was watching it on Sky Sports News live, and I just remember they said the ball's in the air and it's Tevez, and it's kind of like you had that whole thing when him and Mascherano came in. It was on the bloody ITV News, not even the sports section. Like West Ham have signed 2 of the biggest Argentinian prospects in the world for this guy Kia Jubrachin, and it was all over the place. And then suddenly they were talking about, and now a takeover's come in and it's going to completely change the club. And then next thing you know, takeover hasn't really happened as prophesized. And these 2 players that were headline on ITV News, Pardew's leaving them on the bench. Yeah. And you're kind of thinking to yourself, what is going on there? Especially as a child, because everyone's saying to you in school, have you seen your team sign Tevez? And I'm like, well, I don't even know who he is yet, really. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just, as soon as he started playing, obviously he went through a really rough patch, but I just feel like he's one of the best strikers ever to do it, really, now when you look back on it. And he's still, from what I've heard, I haven't actually watched any of it, but I hear he's still performing to quite a high ability nowadays. And it's kind of like, I feel like we were responsible for turning him into one of the best strikers in the world, if you know what I mean, because even though he was already lauded and admired before he came to us, he had to go through a real dip to get to where he was. And when he got through it, he single-handedly pulled us off the scrap heap. And as a child who desperately didn't want to see my team go down,
yes,
if one man is responsible for saving them, I can't not put that man in my team ever, because it would be, do you know what I mean? And I just think he was absolutely fantastic. And when you watch interviews with him, he loves the club.
Oh yeah, oh he does. Yeah, he said, it was one the other day. He said the only team he'd go and play in Europe with, go back to Europe with, is West Ham.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, he loves the club. He loves the fans. And at the end of the day, like, we're a London team, and he done us a solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. He did do us a solid. And again, you know, I've made the other day I was talking to someone about Benrahma, and there's parallels there, I think, with Tevez, not to the extent, but what I'm saying is in terms of that period, Tevez was trying so hard to score a goal, so hard, almost to his detriment. He was running about the pitch everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was hitting the post or the keeper. And that's how I can see Benrahma now. He's trying so hard to score a goal.
It's the overthinking phase, isn't it? Yeah, it's the overthinking phase.
And that free kick was just like, and that free kick against Tottenham, where he just put it into the top corner, and then that all the release of his, and I think it was Anton or someone we interviewed said, when he came off the pitch, he came in, and because he didn't speak English, but his translator would say he then knew what it was to play for West Ham, that scoring and doing that jump. He got it. That was the game that he got West Ham.
Yeah.
And the love affair just continued. But yeah, I mean, you know, I've never seen a player come back from another club to play for another club and get the ovation that he used to get. Mental.
Yeah, that's it. Mental. The whole thing was like, it went from a media circus to a love affair. Do you know what I mean? That's what it went for. It went for, like, not too sure why these two guys are here. It feels a bit dodgy. Are we going to get sent down to League Two because of this?
Yeah.
To bloody hell, they're all right. They can play legally, but he's not even playing, and what's wrong with him? To, all right, he's playing now, but he can't score. What was everyone going on about? To, oh my God, he's fantastic and he saved us. And now let's hope that we don't get fined because he scored against Sheffield United. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. It was a crazy error, but the thing that tops it off for me is the fact that he scored the goals that we so desperately needed to keep us in there, and you just can't say enough about him for that, really, I don't think.
No. All right, we'll put Carlitos in. All right, one more spot.
I would say that the striker area is very difficult. I don't know if anyone's ever said this that's been on here before, but it's probably the hardest section, because I've got Harewood, I've got Sheringham, I've got Ashton, I've got Zamora. They're just pouring out.
Zaza.
Yeah.
What?
Pouring out of my head. I'm going to go with this one just because I used to really like watching him. And I used to always buy him in FIFA straight away and up his level up. I'm going to go with Bobby Zamora.
The Z-Man.
I do. I'm going to go with Bobby Zamora. Like, obviously, I know his tenure with the club wasn't as long as Mark's has been, but I feel like I'm going for him for similar reasons that I'm going for Mark, if you know what I mean. He was very loyal. He was there through the ups and downs in the Championship, in the league, and he could always score. He always scored. He could score good goals. His link-up play was there. He was someone that in his time I thought was really underrated.
Yeah,
once again. But yeah, it was a toss-up between Zamora, Harewood, and Ashton. Ashton was obviously fantastic, but we unfortunately, through no fault of his own, got to see enough of him, if you know what I mean. And Harewood and Zamora could have honestly been a coin flip, but Zamora just stands out a little bit more in my mind. I can't quite explain why, but he
scored some important goals for us. He scored the goals took us up.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, I remember that very, very vividly. And again, you know, West Ham boy, Bob's a West Ham boy, and so you know there is something special about that. And he just had a knack of he scored wherever he went. You know, he literally scored. I think actually he's probably, because he scored the goal that took us up, scored a goal in the playoffs for QPR as well that took them up. So 2 goals. I think he's earned about something like £250 million from 2 goals. You know, not him personally. God, no.
Yeah,
But, no, he's a top guy, and I just think he did have a knack. You know, I remember that when we went up that season, the season obviously that ended up in the FA Cup final. He was top goal scorer for like, I want to say 2 months. You know, and I don't remember him scoring a clean goal. It would come off his arse or his chest or his, deflection.
Somewhere, but always in.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a case of in my heyday of growing up watching football, I just think he's the person that used to make me cheer the most, because I'd go mental every time a goal went in, and more often than not it was him. So he's just who I've got to go with, I think.
Yeah, that's a good shout, man. Before you change your mind, that's it. It's in. Done.
Yeah, done.
Oh man, it's been lovely chatting to you. Thank you.
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
Really, really fun. Really, really interesting as well to find out. You know, the sort of the story of the single as well, because I think everything people see, it's like come out and you see all the tweets and the retweets and the Facebook pages and stuff like that. But it's nice to sort of like chat to you about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it's nice to talk about it as well, because rather than people think, oh, who's this rapper bloke that's made a tune called Declan Rice and then thinks he's sort of the man now, if you know what I mean. I'd rather come on here and say, like, I'm not just the guy that did that tune. I've got a back catalogue and stuff. I decided to do something a bit more upbeat, and I'm just really appreciative to the whole community that it's been received well, because I know how easily it could not have been. Like I said, I keep going back to the word blessed, because I just feel really blessed at the moment. And not to sound soppy, but I haven't felt blessed for a lot of my life. So it's a good period at the moment, and I genuinely believe it's probably a week or a project or a release that I'm genuinely going to look back on very fondly for the rest of my life. And it's only because people like yourself, Russ, have got behind it, and the whole community. So anyone that's watching that's supported the song in any way, shape or form via Spotify, Apple Music, even just a tweet, you've honestly contributed to one of the best weeks of my life outside of the birth of my children and my wedding day. So thank you.
Yeah. And I like the way you added wedding day at the end. Well done.
I said it loud.
God, yeah, exactly. One of the best weeks of my life. I can just imagine you. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. No, it's great, and that's the thing. It's nice to see. It's nice to see West Ham people doing something different. West Ham people doing stuff. It's almost breaking into the top 40 type thing. It's great to see. I love seeing it. You know, you can put yourself out there, and it's great that everyone's responded. So it's all good, man. But I appreciate your time, man. I know the 2 little kids pushing it out and stuff. Having an hour to yourself is not something that happens very often in a lockdown situation. So appreciate Mrs. Part keeping the kids at the baby. Anyway. Thank you to everyone that's been watching. Obviously, download and stream the single as much as you can. And myself and from DPart, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Come on your eye, and we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye bye. Bye.